Um, I've never, when I first ran for Havre de Grace City Council back in 1979, I never thought I was going to run for something else. But after you're in office for a while, you realize that maybe you've accomplished what you want to accomplish. Maybe you realize that you have to have a different position to accomplish certain things. And so I ran for mayor, and then I stepped out of politics for a while, and for about a year and a half. Then I thought, all right, it's time to get back in. And I went for the House of Delegates and State Senate. Was out of politics again for a while, and then went back to be the mayor. And my intent was to, because the town was in pretty bad shape financially. It had been a pre-Detroit problem, and the people were coming to me. At the time, I was playing tennis all the time, and they'd say, "Have you ever thought about running? What'd you think about running?" Then next week, you got to run. And so finally, I decided, all right, I'll run. And then my intention was to actually retire as a teacher, and I had run and won as mayor, and I thought, all right, I'll finish this term, 2-year term, retire as an educator, and then be retired. And then my predecessor stepped down as county executive because Bob Ehrlich appointed him to be the director of MES, Maryland Environmental Service, and I thought, all right, we can't just let that go anywhere. So I put my name in and got appointed for 2 years, and then decided, all right, I need to run. So I ran in 06 and 2010. But, soon after the race in 2010, I thought, what am I going to do? Do I still want to be in an elected position? Do I just want to go do something else? So I thought, all right, I think I might run for governor. We thought about that in 2011. We started doing statewide tours back then. And then it got stronger and stronger and stronger. The biggest thing are taxes. The number of taxes that have gone up, which taxes have gone up, how it's undermined our economy and our state, especially the income tax. If you look at Texas right now, has had more jobs than all the other states combined. The 9 states that don't have income taxes are the ones that are the most doing the best. Yeah, in a sense, we're going to be like a pre-Detroit also, because the issues that have been kicked down the road on unbalanced budgets, that they say they're balanced, but they have structural deficits. That means it's not balanced. The problems they're having with pensions, the problem they've had with no longer doing pay-go projects for roads, but borrowing the money. Those types of things have just been sent down the road. And the next governor, actually probably the next 2 governors, are going to have some problems fixing these things. Because it doesn't take long to break something. It takes a long time to fix it. Well, I do tell people you're there for 4 years, so it's not all about the first day or the first 100 days. Okay. It's about showing up and doing the job and just being regular and persistent in getting it done. So don't expect that you're going to get everything done in this first session, second session, anything like that. Don't worry about the legislation. It's going to be, as county executive, we probably have about 90 pieces of legislation a year, and about 80 of them are mine. So I know what that's like, but I'm not going to worry about all the legislation gets approved. So it'll be internal operations, transparency, making sure it's efficient, just doing it better. So having been a mayor and having been the county executive combined for 19 years, we know what it's like to be the executive. Because in politics and government, being a legislator and being an executive are completely different. And having been a legislator, 14 years, I know both sides. Having been the only one who's been in the House and Senate, I know how they're different. But I also know that when you're the mayor, I tell people being mayor is a 24-hour-a-day part-time job, because it is a part-time job, but you're there, you're always doing it. Being the county executive is a full-time 24-hour-a-day job. You never know. I learned this from, I like to read biographies of Calvin Coolidge. He said, you never know what problem is going to be brought to your desk in any particular day. So you have to be ready for it. I could come up with a long list of things that are very good. The fact that we went to AAA bond rating. When I first became the county executive, we were AA+. It just shows by the national agency said you've been very prudent in how you spend money. You've been very good in how you've diversified your economy. You've really made it secure. We have a country going in the opposite direction. And we went up. Everybody else went down. Or we could look at the fact that we were number 10 in the nation in agricultural preservation, or that we were number 1 in buy local programs, or that we're number 2 in the state when it comes to solid waste management, or that we're number 1 in the state when it comes to vehicle emissions, or number 1 in the state when it comes to public safety. or we could look at personal things. It shouldn't just be personal things. Also, the first time in 30 years was school construction that we had no overcrowded school. So, certain people will always pick a little thing. Well, you didn't do this. Let's look at the big things we did. There were so many issues that I could have just said, I don't have to take care of this. I could leave this alone. We had a situation with our solid waste that we had a facility, and the contract on that was going to be gone in 2016. Guess what? I could have just said, I don't have to worry about this. The next guy can worry about that. But I started working on that problem. We took care of it. So I'm not one of those people that just kicks the can down the road. So let's get it done. Yeah. The big issues in having campaigned around the state are always taxes. And it varies which tax. I mean, you might be in Eastern Shore, Western Maryland's gasoline tax. It might be in one of the big 10 counties that got hit with the rain tax. It's the rain tax. Everywhere it's the income tax. A lot of the smaller counties on our borders, it's the sales tax. It could even be the alcohol tax, because the alcohol tax is like a sales tax, and so it's easier to go somewhere else. And people are still going to buy their liquor, but they're going to go to Delaware or West Virginia. So those are the big issues. When it comes to, all right, if we give our speech and we do a Q&A kind of thing, usually the three issues that come up are Second Amendment, the Unaffordable Care Act, and Common Core. Those are usually the three issues that lead anything else. There may be one person that asks about one of the social issues, but generally those are the three biggest ones. And that again varies. If you're, in a lot of the rural counties, it's going to be Second Amendment. Just about anywhere it's going to be Common Core, and just about anywhere it's going to be the Health Care Act. So those are the big issues that concern people the most. On the social issues, I really strongly believe that it is best to let people have a good ability to take it to referendum and vote, rather than have 188 politicians in Annapolis make the decision about the DREAM Act or whatever. Let's let the people of Maryland have a voice and let them vote. And if they vote a way that we all don't agree, it's like, okay, well, I guess most people feel that way now. But the key on that, too, is don't put too many issues on the referendum at the same time, because people won't study them, and word them properly. I mean, the whole issue, some of these issues, they word them so much, you're not sure if you vote yes if you're really voting no. That happens. That's the way they play that game sometimes in Annapolis. Well, as a background, my background is as a teacher and assistant principal for 34 years, so I understand education, and my firm belief is that education is not about Common Core, it's about common sense. And it is about education is really the teacher in the classroom, the child in the classroom, and their parent. We don't need elected officials deciding how student achievement is reached, how teachers are evaluated, or how and what curriculum is written. That should be your local school board, the local superintendent, your principal teacher, and they should be working on those issues with the parent input into what they think it is. We don't need these federal mandates that come down. And having it pushed on us because it's a grant for a while is like a bribe. It's not the best thing to do. And there are some aspects that people like.
Yeah. Do you like certain aspects of it?
I don't see any of the aspects that weren't out there that we already had. I'd also tell people, before we really came up with the concept of having a national, a Department of Education, which generation put us on the moon? A generation that didn't have all these mandates. They were smart people. And we have smart people now. We don't need these mandates. Right now, with all this testing and all the other things that are going on, the average student might miss 20 days in the school year in actual education because they're getting ready for the test or they're taking the test. 20 days is 1/9 of the school year. That's not a good thing. And teachers know how to test their children. You're taught that as a teacher. You know how to give the test. How many students this year did very well on certain things in the testing after missing up to 19 days because of snow? Not good. So this whole evaluation that way is not the best thing to do.
And how about on the state level?
State level, we're in some small counties here on the Eastern Shore. There are more people that work for the State Board of Education that probably work here in education, but they don't teach anybody. Why do we need all that? We don't need that much. It's gotten so much bigger over the last 8 years that doesn't need to take place. I've told people I actually believe the State Board of Education should be one person from each county, chosen by your Board of Education, from your Board of Education. Let them serve on the state board, and oversee what's going on. But instead of having some other board that gets appointed for whatever reason, and then you have all these other local boards, why are we having these local boards elected and not the state board? Wait a minute, you're going in two different directions here. That comes down to overtaxation and too many regulations and fees that you have to pay to get a license, to get certified, to run a business, the higher taxes you pay. So that's why we want to phase out the income tax and be like Delaware, where 94% of our businesses right now pay their income tax through the personal income tax, not the corporate income tax. So the corporate income tax does need to be modified, but the most important is the income tax. So if we can phase that out, be the 10th state without an income tax, which only represents 20% of the people in the country, but over 68% of the new jobs are there. That's what we need to do. So to be very competitive, that's what we need to do.